You have just graduated from university and started a job. You are wearing a nice suit, your hair is freshly combed, you put on your best perfume before going to work, and then you went in. It is the morning of your first day at work, on the 32nd floor of a tall glass building, and you are sitting in front of the dark blue glow of the Bloomberg terminal open on your computer screen. As you read the code and numbers on the screen at your desk, you are also thinking about the conversation you had with your mother the previous evening. She called you and told you that you should not work too much and that you should not exhaust yourself. You said, "Okay," and ended the call. But that was a lie, because the reason you are here is to work hard. That is exactly why you stepped into that building. Exactly why. Instead of sleeping at 7 in the morning, you made yourself a coffee and are working in the office. And you look around you. Everyone is following the same routine. Everyone is sitting at their own desk with their eyes locked on the screen. Everyone is taking notes. Everyone looks exhausted, and no one is happy about the situation, but they do not say anything because complaining is seen as a sign of weakness here. Here, you either work like crazy or you resign, and you choose to work. You still do not know the rules. Right now, the only thing you know is to work relentlessly, and that is exactly what you are doing. Hours pass like water. You spend your nights and weeks working, and the weeks turn into months, and no one tells you how the real game is played because they do not have to. The system was already built for this. Information is an extremely valuable resource, and you still do not know how deeply rooted that resource really is. And finally, that day comes, you get paid. Every month, a number is deposited into your account. And when you see that number, a small feeling of happiness appears inside you. You say, "I earned this." You say, "I worked hard. I put in the effort. This is the reward for it." But no one told you this. That number resets every day. The money you spent yesterday is not an investment or security for tomorrow. You can get sick, you can have an accident, you can come to the edge of bankruptcy. And when any of those things happen to you, you realize those numbers will be of no use at all. Maybe you can stop moving forward, but time never does. Every month you have rent to pay, bills and grocery shopping to do just to feed yourself. And that is when you realize that a salary is not actually security. It is only a temporary solution. And for that solution, you have to spend all your time and energy on it 6 days a week. But you still do not see this as a problem yet. Because the money keeps flowing, life goes on, and when people are in their most comfortable period, they almost never question anything. During this time, you also realize this: spending money is very easy. In fact, much easier than earning it, because earning takes time and energy, while spending only takes a few seconds, and the world you live in almost seems to force you to spend that money. This system has been built as a magnificent engineering masterpiece. The people you see on social media living in luxury, the advertisements, new clothes, a new phone, and much more. These things affect you without you even realizing it. In fact, we could call it herd psychology, an urge of "I should do that too." And you act according to that urge because human beings are social creatures. They cannot stop comparing their own lives to other people's, and the system knows this, and it uses it against you. And so the months pass. During this passing time, you start earning more money. You got promoted, and your salary was increased, and you feel as if you have accomplished something because you worked hard for that promotion, you struggled for it. But now you need to be more careful, because here, a trap appears in front of you. Its name is lifestyle inflation, which simply means that the more your income increases, the more your spending increases as well. You spend more money on unnecessary things, wear more expensive clothes, and vacation in more expensive places. And this is the real issue. Not getting caught in that state and building savings, but most people fail right here. During this time, you also understand this. There are two kinds of people around you. One sells more of his time for more money. The other learns how to make money from money in order to work less. And the only difference between these two kinds of people is not just their working hours, even their minds work differently. The first thinks, how can I sell more of my time? The second thinks, how can I use my time more effectively? And these two questions pull you into a different mindset too. One makes you work like a machine. The other helps you build a kingdom from scratch. And right at this moment, something starts to change. And you notice that change immediately, because now you are not only spending the money you earn, and now you are looking at your first real asset, a small stock portfolio. Maybe this asset is very simple. Maybe it is just for show, but that is not the problem. What really matters is that you started somewhere, because in that moment you realize something. Even while you sleep, that asset keeps working and growing. And this feeling is very different from receiving a salary. While salary makes you feel like it controls you, an asset makes you feel as if you control it. You also begin to understand what compound interest really is in this stage. An asset growing at 7% doubles in value in 10 years, quadruples in 20 years, and becomes 8 times larger in 30 years. And these calculations both excite you and scare you because you realize this. The earlier you enter this game, the more you gain, and you entered late, or at least that is what you think. But here you have to limit those thoughts, because the moment you say late, it is actually a new beginning, and being at the start of this game is better than never entering the game at all. After some time passes, you are in a conference hall, and the man in front of you is explaining something to you. He is speaking quite calmly, but that sentence opens a new door in your mind because the man says this: if you sell your asset, you pay 28% tax, but if you use your asset as collateral, you can borrow at 3.5% interest, and that debt is not considered taxable income. The moment you hear this, everything you have learned throughout your life comes to mind. The mentality of earn, save, and sell if necessary. After that sentence, that mentality slowly begins to collapse because now you realize this: the way the people inside the system make money and the way you do are completely different things. They do not sell their assets. Instead, they borrow against them. Rather than liquidating the asset, they use it as collateral and access cash, and they do not pay tax for this access because debt is not counted as income. Now let us analyze this in more detail. Let us say you invested very early in a technology company, or you are the founder of a startup and the company gained value and the shares in your portfolio became worth $100 million. That sounds like a very good thing, but now you want to use that money. You are going to make an investment, and for that, you need cash. If you sell your asset, you will pay capital gains tax on that $100 million. In America, this ranges from 20 to 28%, meaning you would give away between $56 and $78 million as tax, and that money will never come back. And on top of that, those shares are gone too, so they are no longer yours, which means you no longer benefit from their future increase in value. But what if we apply the other scenario? Instead of selling the same $100 million stock portfolio, you go to a bank and use those shares as collateral and borrow at 3 or 4% interest. That money is now yours. You make your investment with that money. Your asset keeps earning, and over the years you finish paying off that debt with the dividends the shares generate or with new cash flows, and on top of that you pay no tax at all. The shares are still yours and they still continue to grow. This is not something illegal. It is the architecture of the system, and the ones who know how to use that architecture are the ones who win. At the same time, you also understand this. This knowledge is deliberately kept difficult to obtain. The tax code consists of thousands of pages. Accounting regulations are written in a language that is difficult to understand, and this situation has been designed that way on purpose because those who cannot understand the complexity of the system are deprived of the benefits of the system. And in this way, the gap between rich and poor does not close. On the contrary, it becomes even wider. And now you begin to apply all of this not just in theory, but in real life as well. You do not just see what tax-deferred liquidity means in an Excel sheet, you experience it directly while managing a position. And this is a very big change because simply reading a piece of knowledge and actually experiencing it are two very different things. You also realize this: finance is not just about making money. The real point is managing that money and understanding the architecture underneath it. This sentence sounds simple, but the meaning beneath it is much greater because people see finance only as a result or only as an objective. They ask themselves, how much did I earn? But the people inside the system use finance as a tool, even as a process. They ask, what kind of structure am I building? How does this structure grow on its own? How does this structure work without me? And that is what is called a difference in perspective. They think about the decisions they made throughout their careers, the investments they made, the networks they built, and the time they spent. All of this knowledge and experience you have gained helps you understand much better why rich people never sell their assets. Because an asset works even while you sleep. It does not abandon you. And even if you do not see it, it allows you to keep earning. You would never have thought of this when you were a salaried employee, but now you are aware of it. And this awareness is what separates you from other people. Now you understand how the system works for asset owners, but at the same time, this confronts you with another painful truth. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is a structural reality, and it is explained like this. If everyone became an asset owner at the same time, asset prices would fall so much that assets would stop being profitable sources of return. The returns produced by the system would be divided among everyone, and those returns would become smaller. And that is why learning this knowledge is difficult, because if everyone had this knowledge, the value of the knowledge itself would fall. In fact, the logic is simple. The more abundant something is, the less valuable it becomes, and the scarcer it is, the more valuable it becomes. This lack of knowledge is a complete win-win situation for the people inside the system, because if he does not know and you do, then you are the one who wins, and that gap never closes. You also realize this: building wealth takes time, but only an asset can buy you time. And this is literally a cycle. First, you sell your time to buy an asset, and later, thanks to that asset, you gain more time. But for someone who never entered that cycle, the situation continues the same way, meaning time forever remains something that is sold only in exchange for money. And this asymmetry keeps growing because while the asset owner's time increases, the time of the person without assets runs out. Also, at this exact point, you understand very clearly the difference between capital taxation and labor taxation. When you work from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and earn money, the state takes a large portion of that money from you as tax through the spending you make. But when your investments go up, or your real estate brings you returns or increases in value, you do not pay tax for that. Labor is the most heavily taxed form of income. Compared to it, capital is the most lightly taxed form of income. And now you can clearly see this reality. Throughout this entire process, you learned a great deal. Once, you were just an ordinary salaried employee, but now you are someone who knows how to make money from money through asset accumulation. And this process taught you something very valuable. There is only one thing in the world more valuable than money, and that thing is time. But this time cannot be distributed equally for everyone. One person has to give more of his own time so that another person can have more time left. Now you understand it. Now you clearly understand that the thing that will work for you, not lose value and not be taxed so that you can have more time, is asset accumulation. And at this point, you, the one who entered the game very late and stood waiting at the starting line, managed to complete the game thanks to this knowledge and experience. Congratulations, the system accepted you.